Hi guys, I'm back yet again for another edition of Balloonhead Live. I'm your host, per usual. My name is Marcelo Nostroza, and welcome to my review of Star Trek: Strange New Worlds, Season One, Episode 4, entitled Memento Mori. Well, this episode largely focuses on the security chief of the USS Enterprise, Laan Noonien Singh. Now, if you guys have been watching the series, you know that Laan was or is, for lack of a better word, one of my favorite characters. So I was very, very pleased to find out that this episode was going to focus around her. In this episode, the Enterprise get entrusted with bringing in anti a oxygenator sort of thingy to a planet to actually give the planet the ability to, I guess, recycle oxygen, or maybe way off on that. Anyway, when the Enterprise goes to that planet, they discover that the inhabitants of that planet are gone. There's no one to be seen on that planet. And when they beam down to the planet, they also discover that apparently a major battle went down on that planet. There's blood everywhere. There's signs of weapon fire. It's just an absolute disaster. A little bit um a little while after that, the Enterprise come across a ship in space, which happened to be the last survivors of that planet. And when they beam them aboard, the people of the planet say that they were attacked by these space beings that communicate with some sort of light. And that triggers Laan to sort of have these flashbacks to when she was a child, and her ship was attacked by the Gorn. And I really thought that this episode really did a good job of sort of paying off what had been set up previously in episode one. In episode one, we learned that Laan's entire family got massacred by the Gorn, and uh, because of that, she's deeply scarred, and and she carries around the possible weight of survivor's guilt. And in this episode, I really like the fact that the Enterprise is really behind the eight ball throughout the entire course of this episode, and nobody really understands what they're dealing with until Laan has a conversation with a member of the planet that they just beamed aboard, and the little girl says, "I saw the people that attacked us," and they do this little clicking thing with their mouths. I thought that scene was particularly chilling. The only thing I didn't like about that scene is when the little girl started clicking, they focused in on her mouth, and then after she sort of delivered the information she had to deliver, uh, the minister of the planet sort of, you know, pushed her aside, and Laan stood up because she kneeled down to talk to the girl. Lon stood up and and immediately signaled to the bridge to scan for a specific type of radiation. So they go ahead and they scan for that specific type of radiation, and they discover that just behind the planet there is a ship that is cloaked and that is almost ready to attack. So Lon orders shields to be raised, but unfortunately, it's too late, and the Gorn come out of nowhere, and they blow up the uh, the the sort of bridge that the Enterprise extended from their ship to the passenger ship to actually ferry the people from their ship to the Enterprise. And I really loved that particular scene because you see the Gorn coming, and then you the director does a really cool shot where he focuses on La'an's face, looking and just saying the Gorn. And then, number one, pulls her aside and the Gorn blow up the little transport bridge. And I just thought that was a really, really effective scene. I like I said, I really liked that moment. And um I really thought it was effective. One thing that I didn't understand upon first viewing of this episode is that the episode starts out with the crew members of the USS Enterprise wearing a separate badge insignia. And when I was watching this episode with a friend of mine, we thought that the Enterprise was honoring uh, somebody that they had just lost. And being the writers that we are, we started complaining about this. We started complaining about this aspect of the episode because we believe as writers, it's more powerful to show your audience things than to tell your audience things. And when I watched the episode again for this review, I understood that the Enterprise hadn't lost anyone at that point when the episode started. The Enterprise was just celebrating its its fallen heroes by wearing that badge insignia. And so that issue that I had really, caved away into nothing. The other thing that me and my writer friend didn't really understand is why Uhura was with Hemmer throughout most of this episode. And again, on a secondary rewatch, it's basically stated when we see Hemmer and Uhura walking through the corridors. Uhura being a cadet, she's actually doing rotations, basically in every separate division on the ship. And in this particular episode, her her it is time for her to do her shift in engineering. So that's why she's with Hemmer when the Enterprise get attacked by the Gorn. So that issue was explained away. Well, yeah, I guess. Well, I guess what um I guess what this really signifies to me is that my friend, when I watch Star Trek with my friend, we really need to pay closer attention, because if we pay closer attention, these little nagging issues that we have as writers maybe wouldn't be there. One little nagging issue that I picked up on was, why in the world are the warp core coils in the fucking cargo bay? Shouldn't the warp core coils be in engineering? Why the hell do they have a critical system? And that critical system, affects most of the engines on the ship. And when the Gorn attacked the ship, I believe for the first time, the cargo bay is hit. So as a result of as a result of the I'm having fun, guys. As a result of the cargo bay being hit, the sort of warp coils that control the engines are damaged. And I'm like, again, why do you have active warp coils in the goddamn cargo bay? That does not make any sense. Warp coils do not belong in the fucking cargo bay. They belong in fucking engineering. So I really didn't understand that point of view. The other thing that I did not like at all is the fact that my favorite character in this entire series, uh, Una Chin Riley, played by the beautiful Rebecca Romaine, got sidelined again. when she got injured in the Gorn's first attack. And Laan, since this episode focused around her, got promoted to number one again because uh, uh, the real number one was out of commission. Yeah, I don't look. I don't understand why Una couldn't have could could be injured, could have made it to sick bay, and could have come back on the bridge to help out. I don't understand why she had to spend the entire episode laid up. I don't get it. So I was not pleased with that whatsoever. The other thing about this episode is that there are various scenes where the camera shows you one thing, but as the scene progresses, the camera twists and turns. Discovery is synonymous for bullshit like this. And as a viewer, I don't like when the directors of quote unquote new Star Trek get funky with the camera. I uh sorry guys, that's the Germans are coming. I particularly like when when the episode is directed much more calmly and much more straight. I don't sorry. Just give it a minute, guys. They'll calm down in a second. It's actually raining where I am, so maybe something happened nearby. So just give me a moment. Any moment. Give me a moment. I mean, for you guys who are watching this at home right now, this is captivating entertainment, isn't it? One moment. Oh, this is what I get for starting early. See, guys, I was initially supposed to start at 2 o'clock, but I I felt good. I really got a grasp of what I wanted to say, and that's why I started early. Any minute now. Any minute. Any minute. Okay. So, as I was saying, I prefer the Star Trek directors not to show off with fancy tilts and bullshit like that. I would rather have them direct the episode straight than want to do substance over style because they want to make the shot look cool or something like that. The other thing that I really questioned was they're in space, right? Right. And I understand the environmental controls being down, and that's why it gets hot in the ship. But if they're in space, shouldn't they be sweating? Shouldn't they be freezing instead of sweating? Now, I know what you're gonna say. You're gonna say, "Come on, Marcelo, why are you being so picky about Star Trek?" No, no, I just no. I'm asking a genuine question, right? I understand the environmental controls being the environmental systems being down, but I don't know. I don't know. Maybe you guys will leave a comment in the chat now and those of you who are watching right now can explain that to me, but I don't get it. The well, I've been really really negative on this episode, and I do want to get to some positive things. I really liked the the uh the um I really liked the submarine aspect to this episode because to get away from the Gorn, the Enterprise decide to go into a gas giant cloud that's right next to a fucking black hole. And the entire episode is the Enterprise trying to evade the Gorn and not get captured by the Gorn. And I love what Mr. Spock, he basically turns uh the what he does to allow the Enterprise to get a good map of the area that they're in and to track the Gorn is a lovely it's an amazing thing. So basically I think, if I'm right, he turns a, anyway, what he does is freaking amazing. I love the scene where Pike decides to use the only torpedo that they have left and physically drop it on the Gorn. I found that pretty amazing and pretty cool. I really like the violent nature of the Gorn in this episode because in the original series they were played to be sort of like campy and not really violent, but in this episode, especially when the mind meld between Laan and Spock. Oh, you know, this is what I get for starting early. I'm never going to start early again. Okay, so um, I especially like the scene where Laan and Spock are in the shuttle, and Laan says, "I need you to read my mind so we can figure out how to get the upper hand on the Gorn ship that we didn't destroy." With the torpedo. So Spock and Laan do the Vulcan mind meld thing, and we discover what Laan is so traumatized by because throughout the episode, she is seeing the she's seeing a physical manifestation of somebody that she knew in her childhood on the ship that she grew up on, which also happened to be the ship that the Gorn attacked when she was a child. Anyway, so they do that mind meld thing, and then through that mind meld thing, La'an discovers that the Gorn communicate through light. So it's basically like SOSs in light in light form. So basically that's how they communicate with one another. And also La'an discovers that Spock had a sister by the name of Michael Burnham. So I thought that was interesting. Um so ultimately, Laan sends a signal to one. Laan sends a signal to one Gorn ship to destroy the other one. And fast forwarding now a little bit, the Enterprise decide to eject the damaged warp core to simulate the death of the Enterprise, so the massive Gorn ship that remains can think they are dead. That entire sequence was goddamn amazing, and I really enjoyed every second of it. Ultimately, I thought this episode was solid, but there were just a few things that I was like, huh? And even and even watching the episode a second time, I understood those things that I had a difficulty understanding the first time I watched the episode, but I was like, still, I was like, huh? Okay. Oh, and before I go, I have to mention, and this is for my friend who I actually watch Star Trek with on a week to week basis. She makes Star Trek watching for me so much fun. So this is for you, and I know you're watching. What is the deal with Spock's long ass sideburns? They don't need to be that long. What is the deal with that? What is the deal with that? Anyway, that was for you. Like I said, this episode was good, but it wasn't great. I loved all the stuff with Hemmer and Uhura. Now that I really understood it, I love this episode focusing in on Laan, and I love the summary nature of this episode with the Enterprise for a large part of the show being in this gas giant. And I also love the fact that crew members die in this episode. I was ashamed that one particular transporter chief didn't die by the name of Kyle, because if he would have died, I have a friend that would have been destroyed. And it would have been lovely to see him, wax poetic about why new Star Trek killed his, space husband. So I would have enjoyed that immensely. So with everything being said, from 1 to 10, I would give this episode a 5. Again, it was pretty solid, but it wasn't magnificent. So, with all that being said, guys, as I change the board here because I totally forgot something. With all that being said, guys, if you've seen this episode, tell me what you liked about it. Tell me what you didn't like about it. But very, very quickly, I would like to thank all of you for watching this live stream, for putting up with my complaints, and for putting up with all my crap from week to week. But if you guys want to talk to me about Star Trek or anything else on the face of the planet, you can follow me on Twitter. I'm at CreekFanatic88. There you see my Twitter handle streaming on the bottom ticker there. But until next time, as I change the board again because I always forget to do that. There you go. Until next time, as always, let's try that again. Until next time. Now I'm ready. As always, I'll see you when I see you.
So much happened here, and so much is about to.